I just built on my Level NJS bike, which is a dream bike that I've had ever since I started riding fixed gear a cool 14 years ago. NJS bikes are some of the finest steel bikes in the world. They're made by master craftsmen in Japan and go through a rigorous certification process to get that coveted NJS stamp so that they can be ridden in the gambling races. It's basically horse racing on bikes. And this is a purebred horse that was sold to me, some hipster in Sacramento, because it was cracked and dented, as NJS bikes do. This purebred injured NJS racehorse can now live out the rest of its days on a farm upstate with me, instead of being taken around to the back of the barn. And Wabi Cycles, the sponsor of this video, also makes some pretty dang nice steel bikes that are so fun. They make you feel like NSYNC's No Strings Attached just released, and that the biggest problems in your life are trying to get home before dark and deciding on what kind of Papa Murphy's pizza to have for dinner. Wabi's bikes are lively and they feel like they encourage you with each pedal stroke, unlike my mom. If you want a bike that is ready for you out of the box and is significantly less infuriating and less expensive than trying to build up a bike that got bodied on a Japanese velodrome, check out wabicycles.com. One reason that it took me so long to build up an NJS bike is that they are kind of impractical. They can only fit like a 25C tire in the front and a 28C tire in the rear, and there aren't mounts for anything. Like, it's a proper track race bike, and I'm definitely not fitting a rack in between these 37cm bars, so I do find it annoying that I have to pack a bag to carry all of my stuff, because normally I just throw everything in my rack. Ever since I started riding with front racks, it has been a pretty big game changer for me because I don't have to deal with back sweat. But Naomi is such a diva that she's just like, no, you carry the bag, you carry the stuff. You get your back sweaty for me. I even feel bad for locking it up. Like, I'm going to Mike's camera to pick up some film and to get another roll developed, and like, I don't want to leave this out on the streets locked up for 15 minutes or so. Like, it feels bad. Yeah, it's not a to-do thing bike. Everything about this bike just screams, ride me or steal me. First ride on the NJS, and there's a couple of things that I'm looking for. First, how does the frame feel compared to my Wabi Special? Because both are made out of high-end steel. The Wabi Special is made out of Reynolds 725. The diameters are a little different. The Wabi should theoretically be a little stiffer because it has a thicker diameter top tube, and also ovalized chainstays to fit bigger tires. Whereas this one, the top tube is much smaller, and wow, this feels like nothing. What the? I am barely feeling this hill. And also the chain stays on this bike are really thin. So I'm really paying attention to like the handling, the flex characteristics. Oh, squirrel, please. Second, I'm paying attention to the fit, because the fit is super aggressive. Negative 32-degree stem with track drops is actually the reason I bought this bike, because on my other bikes I found that I was just riding in the drops the whole time, which is indicative that I'm not getting low enough on my other bikes. They used to fit me perfectly, but now I am stronger and can get much lower. And so far, I find this track drop angle actually pretty comfortable. So, really seeing the fit, because I am maxed out on my other bikes. My stem is slammed, stem is parallel with the top tube, so this feels actually aggressive. Oh, squirrel, no. Squirrel, you dingus. Holy, squirrels have a death wish. And then the third thing is tire clearance. You can fit 25 in the front, 28 in the rear. So feel how it changes the handling, and if these skinny tires are enough. Try it. It's a little loose. I feel myself sinking. Definitely not confidence inspiring. Ooh. Yeah, no more of that. This hand position, no hoods, no hooks or ramps or anything. Surprisingly okay. Pulled over for a water break because there is nowhere to put water on this bike unless you want one of those bottle rocket cage holders that launch your bottle into the orbit. When I pulled over to take a break here at the Guy West Bridge, which is Sacramento's miniature version of the Golden Gate Bridge, I definitely felt like this was the fastest that I've ever gotten here without even consciously thinking of pushing myself even harder. And I just checked my Strava and I averaged 17.8 miles an hour, which is significantly faster than I normally bike. Normally after 12 miles or so, I'm averaging maybe 14.5 to 16.5 miles an hour. So getting over a mile an hour average speed just by switching bikes is pretty good. Being fast is not the intention of this bike. The intention of this bike is just for vibes and to look cool and that it makes me happy. But I think that I'm so much faster on this bike, even against a headwind. It's not like a major headwind, but there is a headwind heading west, as there usually is in Sacramento. I think it's because I am just so hard committed to this aggressive hand position, and I think it has to do with the stem more than anything else on the bike, because riding on the tops feels stupid, and then so most of the time I am riding in the drops. At least half of the time I find that I am riding in the drops, which is super aggressive. Like, I could touch my tire from the drop position. It's ridiculous. And the way that this bike flexes, honestly, it feels mostly the same as my Wabi Special. I would say it's like 70 to 80% the same as my Wabi Special. But I do feel like I am a noob on this bike because it is so radically different, so radically impractical, which is kind of the whole point of fixed gear, from the bikes that I have, which are built to be more like comfortable commuter kinds of bikes, on-road and off-road. And this, like, you're not doing anything on this bike but going. And the way that it flexes when I push it harder, which I say I feel like a noob on this bike because I feel like I am too weak to reap the benefits, at least at my current level of fitness, of the frame set, because it starts to feel really different from my Wabi Special when I start to push it harder. It planes better, as in it synchronizes, the flex of the frame synchronizes with my pedal stroke better when I push it harder. But it is a little bit of a stretch for me to push it as hard as it wants to be pushed. And it feels like I need to get stronger to really appreciate this bike, because it is custom made for a professional racer. The way that the Flex feels different is that it flexes more. And it's weird because people normally think that, oh, a more flex in a frame means that you could pedal it softer, a stiffer frame means that you could pedal it harder, but I'm finding the opposite, or I'm feeling that once I get to the points where I'm pushing enough power, where it starts to flex and feel really good, it feels like it wants to take even more force and go even faster and synchronize even more with my pedal stroke. It's kind of crazy. And the biggest difference between the flex characteristics between my Wabi Special and the Level NJS is that this feels so much more precise in that the way it flexes. Once I start getting into the groove of the flex pattern, it feels like I'm riding an arrow that's just barreling straight through down the trail, also wiggling and flexing and just like encouraging me to keep pedaling and pushing harder. It's very, like, it sounds so stupid, but it feels like this bike has a soul, and that it's like it's talking back to me, and that the riding experience is more interactive rather than just using a tool to get from point A to point B. In comparison, Wabi's bikes, they have a bigger top tube, and they are stiffer, and that the way they flex is more gentle. Like, they're gently encouraging you to keep pedaling. But this, once this gets flexing, it feels like a dog with zoomies, that it just wants to go. And it is so finely tuned to very minute touches on the handlebars. It is nuts. It feels like I don't even have to steer the bike. I just need to think about where I'm going, and the bike is already going there. Construction. There you go, this is the right way. Be good enough for 15 minutes. Don't get stolen, Naomi. I'm living the fixie hipster dream and riding an NJS bike, and I just got my prints of film photos but I'm just gonna get home. I've experienced every competitive cyclist's worst nightmare, and I forgot to restart my Strava when I was taking a pee on the trail. It's okay, because I rode the miles in my heart. And in this video, something I am noticing is that as nice and supple as the frame set is, I am still missing my bigger tires even out on the American River Trail, which is pretty well maintained and smooth. I can feel like every bump in the road with the 25C in the front, and tree roots that like get under the pavement are really jolting. I haven't ridden a 25C tire in over a decade. It's very bumpy. I do not like it. This ain't my first rodeo. I started feeling the impending bonk and decided to get some carbs. And hydration. Does tea count as hydration? Oh, it's so smooth. We're in the groove now, Naomi. Took off my disgusting cycling cap visor thing because when I get in the drops, it's so deep that it blocks my view. Oh my gosh, that's pedal strike. That's pedal strike. Too fast. Jeez. When did I get home? Protein shake? Oh, that's good. The Level NJS shrank the world for me because I am intimately familiar with the American River Trail, and the distances between places just feel so much smaller. Every time I get to a mental checkpoint, like a park or a bridge, I'm like, I'm here already? I am home already? How is this possible? Because I'm not even trying to ride fast. At the beginning of this video, I said that this frame set rides 70 to 80% like my Wabi Special, and I feel like that is just not correct at all after riding it for 35-ish miles. This frame set, it's maybe like 50% similar to a Wabi bike, because once you start pushing it, this thing just wants to keep going faster and faster. It is so unapologetically fast and ruthless in how fast that it wants to go. And I mean that when I say that it wants to go fast, because it feels more fun and it planes better and it flexes more, that encourages you to push as hard as you possibly can. It is a race bike through and through. This is the hardest bike to ride that I own, in that it is so ruthless in its positioning, in its tire clearance and the vibrations, but it is just like a wild horse that wants to run like the wind. It doesn't care if I can't keep up with it. The bike just wants to keep going. I am far from my peak physical condition. I have not been riding all that much at all. And that was my fastest, like 30-ish mile ride ever, by about like 1 mile per hour. It's crazy. This bike is just so unforgivingly uncomfortable. With the fit and the super skinny tire clearances, that's a 25. It feels like the bike is riding me. Pardon my language, but this bike will slap you on both butt cheeks and tell you, ride me harder, daddy. It just does not want to let up, and I just feel like I'm not fast enough to ride for how fast it wants to go. Just the harder you push it, the better it feels. And I feel like the tipping point is around like 18 to 19 miles per hour where the steel really wakes up. At the beginning of the ride, I was riding probably 50 to 60% of the time at the drops, but about like 15 miles in, just because like I don't have the flexibility or the leg power to push that hard to sustain this position for an extended period of time. Towards the second half of the ride, I was spending most of my time on the hoods, if you could even call them that, and on the tops. And this thing is still ripping. This is the least practical bike I own. It is definitely a sports car of a bike. Like, you're not making Costco runs in a Lamborghini, but sometimes you just want to drive the Lamborghini because it's so cool, and I definitely feel really cool when I'm riding this bike, and just because it's so inspiring to ride, even if it is harsh and uncomfortable. There's just something about it that makes it feel so alive, as stupid and cliche as that is. If you've ever ridden a really high quality steel bike, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. All this mumbo jumbo about the bike talking back to you and feeling alive and slapping you on both butt cheeks. And this bike is so inspiring because I can feel like I'm just at the precipice of squeezing the most fun out of this bike, but I need to be stronger and I need to be able to push harder and to sustain this position. By the way, this position, as stupidly uncomfortable as it looks, and it is so aero. It cuts through the strongest headwind like it's butter. And this bike is making me feel like a beginner again, because back when I first started riding fixed gear, I feel like I had to grow into the bike rather than a bike suiting my needs at where I'm at. And I feel like as a rider, I've just been kind of at the same level for the past like 10 years, and this bike is pushing me because of how fun it is to ride hard, to become a stronger rider. It's not even that I want to like chase Strava records or personal records or anything. It's just that the experience of riding it is so dang fun. In most of the clips throughout this video, there was just no talking because I was just pushing too hard to be able to say anything, and I was just like conversing with the bike. Barbara, Wabi Thunder is the tank. Gary, Wabi Special, is the support. Naomi, the Level NJS, that's the DPS right there. Something I feel like I need to change is the saddle. I feel like the position is good. It's just way too narrow. Like, I do not have a tiny Japanese booty, okay? I got that big, fat, fixie American cake. And it just turns out my ass is not NJS approved, and this thing is killing me. Out of the tortoise and the hare, the Level NJS is unapologetically the hare. You ride it so dang fast, but you have to take breaks because of how harsh and uncomfortable it is, and the fact that there's nowhere for water. I feel like I'm flying on this thing. It is nuts. It is. It flexes a lot, but it flexes so consistently that every time that I just decide to push more power into it, I know it can take it, and I know it's going to give it back in feeling and in speed. I love you. Don't tell Wabi.